I'm delighted to be here and just share some of the things we've been doing. I'll not go over the 5 minutes. Probably go on for 5 hours, but anyway, we'll give it a shot. So I suppose, Energy Communities Tipperary Cooperative, which I'll refer to as ECTC from now on because it's a bit of a mouthful. So it started over a decade ago, back in the village of Drumban in Upperchurch. Now, similar to as Graham mentioned there earlier, there was lots of employment opportunities following the financial crash. Whereas I suppose today the lots of employment opportunities are due to the closure of the peat factories and that. So it's essentially the community in Upper Thurles and they wanted to do something to rejuvenate the local economy. So they organised surveys kind of around the households in the area, and it worked out that there was like over €1 million per annum leaving the locality on imported fossil fuels for home heating and energy costs. And they thought, well, if we could save 25% of that from leaving the locality, that's a cash injection of €250,000 into the locality. So a number of projects were looked at, and retrofitting a cluster of houses part of that was seen as the way to go. So SEI, I think, were just at the time were piloting the Better Energy Communities scheme. So and Upper Thurles were one of the first communities to get involved in that. So they it grew from there then. So currently that project was successful. Some other communities in the area nearby wanted to replicate the success in Drumban Upper Thurles and joined up, and eventually a co-op was formed of member communities. So now we've 15 member communities throughout Tipperary and someone there in Limerick as well. So I suppose one of the things in Upper Church Drumban that highlighted other opportunities that could arise, So once the community got involved in, they were empowered to help themselves, and they had belief then that they could do things, along with that. So other things developed. So they created a number of walking trails through the hills there. They had a walking festival and other things like that. So, once communities engage in, helping themselves, if you like, the opportunities arise, so it's great to see, this kind of an initiative, the Emerge initiative. Now, there's been studies done that shows that about for every €1 million invested in retrofitting or renovation, as they call it in Europe, it's depending on the country, but it's an average of 19 to 22 jobs created, in that area. Now, Tipperary ETB, I know, are doing a lot of training in construction skills and retrofitting as well, and no doubt Laois Offaly Education and Training Board I think have similar programs. So anybody in communities that have links in there, I'd urge you to, spread the word about those training programs as well. I suppose totally since ECTC started over a decade ago, it's been over €12 million invested in communities. That's over 860 homes and 30 community and commercial buildings have been retrofitted. And that's been 10 gigawatt hours of energy saved. So when we heard about the Just Transition funding then available around for North Tipperary, we put in a joint application, with some communities based around the Littleton area, Littleton Bod, and we were awarded an provisional offer of €995,000. So now it would have been all initially based on retrofitting houses. So 2 staff were hired initially to do work on the ground to list houses. So a number of surveys were completed. There was over 170 surveys of different houses completed. Now at the same time, in tandem with that, local communities then had formed SEC, Sustainable Energy Communities, and they worked with the SEAI, the Complete Energy Master Plans. So with all of that, so the work was done in 2 phases through the Just Transition. Now phase two, then phase one was initially on kind of doing the surveys and lining up houses that would get works done. And then phase two, then we weren't able to, I suppose, looking at the downsides, we weren't able to provide as much funding as we would have liked because due to state aid rules and regulations, we were, I suppose initially we weren't aware of the percentage allowances that we could draw down for, retrofitting houses. So, for instance, any fuel poor homes, they're better off going with SEAI to withdraw the funding there because we couldn't give them any extra funding. So not as many houses went through as we would have liked in the area. So we had to kind of amend then for phase two of our project. And so we introduced, and in line with just transition, we didn't want to leave anybody behind. We wanted to ensure that everybody could have some part to play. So for houses that maybe didn't have the ability to pay, we looked at what else can we do to help them. So we developed a behaviour change program that would empower people to, I suppose, essentially take control of their energy usage at home and help them, understand and conserve electricity usage at home. And then another element then we looked at, and it was mentioned already, about community owned renewable energy. So that's another element that we're looking at then, and we're currently doing feasibility studies on that with community owned solar PV on some of the community buildings in the affected regions. So so like that's all been sanctioned by the department. So work is ongoing on the feasibility for the solar PV and behaviour change program, then workshops being rolled out, and the houses retrofitted as well. So I'm probably gone way over the 5 minutes there now. I'd like to be as quick as possible. So look, I'll leave it at that for now. And as I say, we're here for questions anyhow, if anyone has any questions. I'll leave it at that. Thanks. All our funding predominantly has come through SEAI for the home retrofits. So that's that's for the home retrofitting. Under the Just Transition Fund, then this was used for the projects then that we're doing around Littleton and North Tipperary, I suppose, in general. Now I saw a question there about Laura Redwood Bog. We have a member community, Laura at Cabin. So I'll pop my email address into the chat box there later on. If people there around Laura want to get in touch with me directly, we can link them in with our people up there. But yeah, I suppose the funding has come through a range of different, depending on the project, I guess, and I suppose the reason I'm here today is because of the Just Transition funding. So for that project, so that would have been all put through under that. Now, having said that, the communities themselves then also formed SECs, so they would have got energy master plans done up through funding from SEAI. So I suppose there can be a bit of leveraging like that, where different types of funding available through different organizations and different bodies within a community, and it can often be about thinking, combining ideas. And as I say, when you get the three people with an interest in cycling, for instance, together in a room, when you bring them together, they then can talk about how they can leverage their own expertise, their own skill sets, and funding that might be available to one organization but not necessarily available to another organization. But when they sit down together in a room and talk, and then it can come about then, well, why don't you do that, and then we can apply for this funding. And when it's all combined, then it's the sum of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. I think is that the phrase, and to, I suppose, using platforms like e-towns, then that's, I suppose, a way of communities engaging and people within communities engaging with various processes and ideas. Typically, it requires a good team, local community team, community champions has been referred to here, usually drive these kind of projects forward. And I suppose the key thing is getting started in the first place. So, attending, getting inspiration from what other communities are doing, and kind of realizing that that communities can take inspiration themselves and can make the first step. And generally that comes from speaking to each other, talking, having meetings with various stakeholders in a community, and working out then what the community actually wants. Often community surveys, see what the community wants, can be helpful as well in that regard. If and again, like all communities would be at different stages in the process. Some might have plans made out for, might have energy master plans created, they might have P plans, projects highlighted. Others then are only new to the whole concept and new to the idea. So I suppose it's about supporting them and encouraging them to, that everyone kind of moved along in the process. There is a gap kind of between, some people have gotten so far in a project and then it's like, right, what's the next step? The energy master plan done, where do we go next? We've got this plan done up, what do we do next? So I guess again, it's just a matter of talking, get on to CAI, if you have your energy master plan, and see what's the next steps there. Look, there's probably job opportunities there for somebody to fill in that gap as well, in as regards assisting communities kind of take the next level, and then of course attending webinars such as this and networking, and then you learn what's available to other organizations.